Do you see this? You've got to realize this. It is only in the modern era where commerce moved out of religious-based to economic-based, which we call capitalism, right? What did Marx try to do? I mean, this is a little segue, but what did Marx try to do to economics?
Completely get rid of religion.
But what did he really do? He turned it into what? He turned economics into what? Into a religion.
Yeah.
He turned to a religion. If you ever studied, if you went to Russia back in the USSR period and studied economics as Marxian theory, you would study economics as the basis for everything. What do Christians say the basis for everything is? What do the Greeks say the basis for everything is? The gods. Do you see this? So if we understand these things, this comes back to the big point. What are the Psalms about? They're about God, and their purpose is the worship of God. That's it. That's it. That's why they were written. That's their purpose. In our culture, poetry has what?
Entertainment.
Well, it has many reasons. Entertainment's one. You know, it has cultural ramifications, literary ramifications, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Self-expression.
Self-expression, you know.
Turn them into songs.
And you know, you have the whole thing. You have things from, you know, the Victorian era, beautiful psalms or beautiful poetry which reflects God, to, you know, stuff that's the exact opposite, right? In our culture, you would never find that in ancient culture, and you never find that in the Psalms either. However, as I pointed out to you, the Psalms can be as complex. That's what I want to do. I want to look at really quickly here at 90. If I can find it and dig it out. So I have a little time to. I want to start at 9. This is verse 9 in 90. And if you remember the time stuff that I've given you before, and by the way, I did give you a word of the day, and I didn't write on the board. This is going to be our rallying cry for a while. Halal. Let's talk very quickly about what halal means before we dig into 90 a little bit. Halal is a word that originally means to be clear. Originally in Hebrew, this meant of sound. So if you can hear me clearly, it's halal. I'm speaking halal. It also can be used, or was used later in Hebrew, of colors. Okay, do you guys already see this is a very, very, very complex word? This isn't a simple word because it means clearly, and it doesn't mean speech. It means any sound. So if you hear that horrible bing, bang, bong that we get, you know, that announces the end of class, may of class, if you can hear that clearly, that's halal. If you can see the colors clearly, that color is not probably halal. It looks too grayish blue to me. But if you look at something like that, believe, that's black. If black is a color, and I don't know if the Hebrews thought black is a color, but that's very black. That's red. That may be halal. Do you see this?
In primary.
Clear. What does clear mean?
Transparent.
Oh, no. That's the problem. I don't know. You know, because look at this. Euphemistically, the word means to shine, hence to make a show, to boast, to be clamorously foolish, to rave, causively, to celebrate, to stultify. Okay, I told you before, remember Hebrew words? The same word that can mean praise, halal, can also mean what? To stultify and to rave and to be foolish.
Given marriage.
I'll say, the quotes, yeah, the King James Version translates this: boast, celebrate, commend, fool, glory, give, be, mad, give in marriage, praise, rage, renown, shine. Now, there's no color words in there. Ooh, ooh. Because why? What do you think? There should be some color stuff in there too, right? Difficult word. In any case, I just want you to see, our view of words, I mean, we have a really strange view of words as it is. Look up the word love in the dictionary. Look it up in the Oxford Unabridged. There's probably a whole volume on it, okay? Because the word love in English has so many distinctive, different meanings. Yet, when I say the word love, what do you see? You see the word L-O-V-E, and you yourself probably, as I kind of excite your brain's probably going through all these different loves to some degree, right? Because that's the way you're wired. You understand this word. You understand it euphemistically, you understand it figuratively, you understand it concretely. You understand this word in almost all of its facets. And you understand contextually what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the word love, right? And it has all these meanings in English. If I'm talking about the word halal, you have no idea. You can make a guess based on the definitions I've given you. This is a problem with these words. So let's look very quickly. Let's go back to 90 just for a second. I want to just take a little bit of time on 90. In 9, verse 9, all of our days, yom, that is the time when it's hot, yom, this could be days, this could be all of our ages, this could be all of our, fixed time, a fixed time. All of our fixed time pass away. Literally pana, to turn, to face. Under your is added wrath, ibra. It's an outburst of passion. It's not wrath. This is a problem because, wrath can be, wrath in English means what? Negative.
Vengeance.
Anger, vengeance. But in Hebrew, the word ibra means an outburst of passion. And remember passion in Greek is the word orge. Orge to us means something negative. Okay, an orgy, right? But in Greek, it means any passion. And likewise, ibra means a passion. So all our days, that is all of the time that we have, whatever it is, a limited time, pana, turns in an outburst of passion. We kala, we end, literally kala is end. We end our revolutions of time, and the NIV says with a moan. It's not what it says in Hebrew. It says hegat, literally muttering. And in Hebrew it means pondering. Okay, remember, in the ancient world, how did people think, do you think? People didn't, we think that when people read, they read silently, right? But remember what I told you, did people even read in the ancient world? No, they had it memorized. When people prayed, how did they pray? They prayed out loud. When people thought, how did they think?
With their hands.
Out loud. Out loud. And this word, hegah, is the evidence of that. Because it means a muttering, but it means in Hebrew to ponder. So literally this does not say, all of our days pass away in the wrath, under your wrath, and we finish our years with a moan. That's not what it says at all in the Hebrew. It says, in our time, we turn our faith to an outburst of passion. We finish our years, in other words, our older times, with pondering, with thinking.
Here it says like a sigh.
Yeah, like a sigh, that's King James. King James originally said, is that King James?
Whole American translation?
American. King James says with a sigh also. But again, that misses a point because in English, why do we sigh? It's emotion, right? It's emotion when we sigh. But what does it mean if you're pondering?
You're thinking.
You're thinking. It's the exact opposite. Do you see what happened with this? This is why I get kind of irritated about they need to be very cautious in translating Hebrew. Because Hebrew is a culturally based language. And I can certainly translate muttering in English to be perhaps a sigh or to be a moan, but it doesn't get the cultural connotation at all. The cultural connotation is thinking, which is the exact opposite of sighing or muttering or moaning, right? Right? Well, muttering, I guess you can mutter under your breath.
Finish our ears thinking about something.
Yes, pondering. Guess what we ponder? Here's what it says. Now, in 10, the length of R is added, but it literally says, it starts with times, and yom, the days of the year. Literally, the times of the year. And this is that thing, is Shibim, 7 times, Shana, or Shemoyim, 8 times, and literally it means, okay, this can be euphemistically meaning of many things. Remember I told you, it means 7 times. It could mean 7 times 10. We don't know. We have no idea what this 70 or 80, it's not 70, it's not 80. The word Shemoim, which is translated 80 or 8 times, literally means 8 times. It also can be translated wealth or fat or greasy. In other words, some people are what? Poor, and some people are rich, wealthy. It means this. It can mean all those things, because we're talking about a euphemistic language, so it can mean all these things. If we have Gabor, and by the way, Gabor is the same word that was, if you remember in Judges, they talked about in Ruth, Boaz was a man of Gabor. So if we have strength of Gabor, force, valor, or victory, yet the Rohab, and it's not span. For some reason they translated Rohab as span. It's the pride is but amal, wearing effort, and avan, panting. For they quickly pass, guas, they're cut off. And we are covered as if wings. And we say, that says fly away. It does not say fly away. It says we are covered as if with wings. If you use this as a translation, you get the impression of something else. What do you get the impression of?
Going away.
Of a spirit going away. There is no impression at all in this psalm of a spirit going anywhere. The word is not being, the word is which means to be covered as with wings.
Protected.
And if you remember, in Ruth, the wings were reflective of her dress. The wings were reflective of a force, like an army that had wings. Okay? And there are words, and we'll see it in the next psalm, that talk about soaring or whatever. But this is a euphemistic use of that.
Protection then, should we be thinking here?
Of protection.
Long coattails.
Of literally, we are covered. Now this can mean a lot of things. It could mean that you're covered because of death. You're covered, basically you're buried. It could mean you're covered, because of age, remember? And also, it could mean you're covered. Why? Because what's the funeral? What do they do in the funeral thing? They wrapped you in linens like a mummy. So it could also mean that.
But isn't the point of this section, Lionel, that you may be rich, you may be poor, but it's only for a period of time and then it doesn't matter?
Yes, exactly. The point I want to get away, the thing I want to make, and the point I made last week, is that we have implied certain time factors or values specifically on it that, for example, it means 70 years, 80 years, but you've got the point. The point is that's why I'm saying, I've said before, it doesn't necessarily affect the theology per se. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't really affect the theology if you get the point. And the point is exactly that. He's saying that God is eternal, and yet man has only a fixed time. The point is that some of the details, and what I want you to see is the details, because I want you to understand that this is a beautiful, powerful poem, in Hebrew especially. But we'll miss the point if we think it's about some specifics. And last week I went into great detail about the subscriptions and about how some theologians believe because of this that this couldn't have been written by Moses, etc., etc. But I made the point that this, I think this is a really early psalm. Whether it's Moses as the author or not, I don't know. But yet, it does appear to be a very early. This is a very early psalm. In 11, Who knows, yada knows, literally, the power. And by the way, the word power is Oz. You wonder why the Wizard of Oz was chosen by the famous theologian Baum? The word Oz means force in Hebrew. Of your af, your hard breath. They translate anger, but wrath, the problem with this is af is a hard breath. What is a breath in Hebrew? You have two types of breath. You have ruach and you have nefesh. Nefesh is a breath that was put into man. Ruach is the breath of the spirit, right? And so this is God's hard breath, his ruach, basically, for your wrath. And again, it's ibras, not wrath, it's outburst of passion, is as great as the yara, the reverence. And a lot of stuff is added in these psalms because all right, you know why they do it, right? Why do they add all this stuff? Why do they translate the way they do?
They're looking through it in the lens of our culture or their particular biases.
They're looking at it through the lens of our or their culture and the lens of their biases. And so if I'm astounded at some of the things that aren't put in some of these psalms. I hope we get to, I think we'll get to 113, but there is one that's a beautiful messianic statement in the 113th psalm, and I think it's in this one too, that is translated out of it. But I don't want you to think that all these are biased necessarily, because they don't necessarily miss the overall point. It's just, I might, or you might even disagree with, why do they add all this? I mean, they've added almost 13, 14 words in this very, very short verse, or quite a few in any case. Anyway, let's go on to 12. Ken, set straight, literally. Ken yada, set straight to know. Mana, way, to us is added. Mana means to weigh out. We use the word number, but it says weigh out, and our is added. Yom. They translate days, hour, fixed periods. All right, that we are all added. May gain, bow, to come or go. Literally, they said may gain, but it means to come or go. A yabab, that's the intestines. A yab of chokmah, of wisdom. So that's right, it's not bad. In other words, it says, teach us, literally teach us to know, to weigh the time that we have, that we may understand with our inmost being wisdom. Let's see. 13. Schwab, turn back. And this is one of those words, we use to relent, but the reason Schwab is pretty good is because, remember in Hebrew, tin hodos comes from Malachi, being a way or a road. So a lot of Hebrew terminology is euphemistic of being on a road. So if you get off the road, right, or if you turn back, that's what this word is, Schwab, meaning turn back. Yahweh, how long? And it's literally ad malay, to what extent? And they've added all this other stuff to Naham, breathe strongly. Remember Adab, I told you, was breathe, they translate to be anger for God, but it's literally to breathe forcefully. This is Naham, and that's breathe strongly, the breath of Adam. The breath of Adam. On is all, above or over against your ibed, and your is added. So in other words, what is the author separating out theologically here? The abed, which is the ruach of God, which is the breath of God, and the nafash that he calls nakum. So you've got the force breath of God that leads to what? Wisdom. And then you also have the breath of Adam, which obviously leads to end. Because, and remember I told you, this is an early psalm, so we shouldn't expect to see what in this early psalm?
Holy Spirit.
Right, there's no Holy Spirit in man. There's no Spirit in man. because this is an ancient poem. The early poems, we'll see that. Remember the late date poem we saw? I think it's the 50th Psalm. We saw all of that over and over again about being in man. 14, satisfy, literally sate, sabah, sate us, and us in is added. Sate us, boquer, at dawns, at dawns. By the way, morning, they wouldn't use the word morning. Where does the word English, in English, morning come from? It's the name of goddess. With your unfailing love, cheched, your kindness. And by the way, cheched is the word translated grace in the Old Testament. That we may sing for joy, literally, ranan is emit a stridulous sound. Emit a stridulous sound. Why would they not necessarily sing for joy? What's the difference between a stridulous sound and sing for joy? Give me a culture that doesn't sing. They don't sing. Okay, our idea of singing, right? You got what, Aguilar lady or whatever, Gomez lady or Disney, right? Or four-part harmony. That's our idea of singing. What's our idea of singing in those days? Chanting and or what in the Greeks? Anybody remember the Greeks that who's that god? The god of wine. Bacchus, Baccharal, the Baccharal ode. It's a specific name in Greek for the Baccharal odes, which is basically strident. In other words, totally non-melodic. Yelling that is they considered a type of singing. That's what they're talking about here.
So it's a crap.
There you go. Where did it come from? I love it. And be glad, brighten up. Samach. Samach is a word we'll see in other places. All our hot times, all of our yom. 15. Samach. Brighten up, brighten up. Brighten up. As many yom times as you have anah, depressed us for as many years, for as many revolutions, as we have seen raha, we've seen trouble. 16. May your deeds, your poah, your work, be shown, ra, see to your servants, your ibed, your servants, hadar, splendor, swell up in magnificence to their band. Literally the builder of families. This is a word I want to talk about for a second. Number one, where is all of this goodness from God coming to? Who is it going to? There's two people it's going to directly here. Is it going to anybody who's dead? No, it's only going to the living, it's only going to their children. And by the way, this is the word I want to talk about. Ben. Ben literally means the son, the builder of a family. Ben Laden, the son of. Ben means son of. Now, it's translated quite often in the Psalms as children. That is a totally incorrect translation. Because if you read this as the builder of their family, what does this imply? May your deeds, may your power, may your work be seen by your servants, the swell up, the magnificence to, let's say, the son.
The one who inherits.
The one who inherits. What could that be implied to be? Well, a Messiah. It could have a messianic translation there. So again, you translate this children, you got a serious issue of leaving out a potential translation. 17. May the favor, and may the is added. Favor, it's noam. Agreeableness of Adonai, our Elohim, our gods, rest upon. It's literally quid, erect. The Messiah, the actions of your yad, your open hand. It says hands, but it's yad, it's open hands. Remember the word yad? I've told you about yad versus, what's it, hada? There's a, yeah, the carry, well, yeah, they're related words. To open, to carry something with your open hands, or carry something with your closed fist. Different, totally different. Or to carry, to not carry, the wording, I can't remember right offhand, but anyway. Yad is an open hand for us. Yes, kuen, erect. It's a repeated word. The masa, repeated. Actions of our yad. So the conclusion of this song, you can go back to the beginning. It says, Lord, you have been hayat. You existed. You breathed as in Ralph. our dwelling place, you cohabit, you dwelt together with us through all duat, the revolutions of the sun or the moon.